So the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack is a bit of a mess, but is it still worth getting? Welcome back, my friends, to another video here on the channel. Today I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. It's been out for, what, a couple days now? 1.5, 2 days, 3 days? I don't know, time flies. And there's a few different kind of points I want to hit on in this video, because there's been a bunch of people talking on Twitter, there's posting stuff, there's some concerns. I've had my own hands-on time with the games, of course, a little bit with N64 and a little bit with, the Sega Genesis games. And I just wanted to kind of talk about this topic in and of itself. So I'll say right off the top, it is a bit of a mess. I don't know if a bit of a mess is an understatement. It's more in regards to the N64 side of things, because the Sega side of things seems to be pretty smooth, surprisingly. The Sega games seem to be working fairly well. From my experience, there seems to be not a lot of problems, but there's certain games with the N64 that seems to have more problems than others. There's some of the games that felt okay to me. I tried most of the games. I haven't played every single one in the N64 and Sega library yet, but I played a good chunk of them, and at least the single player experience, for the most part, for most of the games, was pretty good. It was pretty okay. There wasn't a lot of issues, except for Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time seemed to have the most issues than any other game, and maybe a little bit in Mario 64 as well. Mario 64 seemed to kind of have similar issues with, Ocarina of Time. And at first, when I made my walkthrough video, and also when I did my comparison video of Mario 64 on Super Mario 3D All-Stars versus the Nintendo Switch Online version, if you guys missed those videos, I'll link them down below. When I did those videos, I had said that, okay, the Nintendo Switch Online version feels maybe more similar to the N64 version. But upon seeing some things that other people posted, and upon playing them a little bit more, I thought, the input lag feels a little bit more drastic than it should be. So there's actually someone on Twitter that posted about the input lag. There's actually some other issues we're going to talk about as well regarding Ocarina of Time. But someone posted on Twitter, so I'll link their Twitter and their tweet down in the description below. But their name was Toufool, Toufool, and they showed a little bit of a video that kind of shows the input lag on Ocarina of Time on the Switch, right? So they videotaped themselves hitting the buttons at the exact same time, and then seeing how long it took to register on screen. And there's a noticeable lag there. Now, after that, they actually did a second video where they compared the N64 version on Ocarina of Time N64 plus CRT versus Ocarina of Time Nintendo Switch Online with a low latency monitor, right? So the differences between the two, obviously CRT and the low latency monitor, a little bit different, obviously technology, but the point is that there is a noticeable difference in the video, and the person themselves said that they did feel the difference, right? They said, I promise you, you can feel the difference if you have access to both ways of playing. So that in and of itself is a little bit concerning, that there is seemingly, it seems slight, but it's still pretty substantial when you think of it, right? I mean, the N64 itself already had, a fair amount of input lag as is. We don't need any additional input lag beyond that. So, if they could find a way to tweak that, that'd be best. Nintendo hasn't been the greatest with emulation. I wish that they would do a better job at their own emulation, but unfortunately, it hasn't really been the case. The second thing regarding also Ocarina of Time, someone else posted on Twitter, Stop Skeletons, at Stop Skeletons on Twitter. Again, I'll link that tweet down in the description below, is a comparison of Ocarina of Time on the N64 versus the Wii Virtual Console versus the Switch. So I'll throw their screenshots up on screen. Again, this is screenshots from at Stop Skeletons over on Twitter. Do not want to take credit for any of this. This is where I seen it. So the first one is the N64 version, right? The water, the fog, everything looks fine, right? The second one is the Wii Virtual Console version, which again, there's still fog. Looks like there's a little bit extra clarity to it. The resolution obviously having a little bit of a bump up. But then you got the next one, which is the Switch version, and the fog is completely gone. There's no fog on the water. My buddy Octo actually noted this, because at first when I was seeing these, it wasn't clicking in my head what was different. I thought it was just the water that looked different, but yeah, upon his clarification, realized that this was the fog that is completely missing. Why is that the case? I don't know. Will it matter for most people? Maybe not. Especially if you never played the game back in the day, you probably wouldn't even bat an eye at this. This is not as big of a deal, but it's still strange. You know what I mean? It's still strange. Why? Why is it like this? And then when you couple that with the input lag, it's just problematic, right? It's not good. It's not good. So those two things together, I wish Nintendo would do a better job at their own emulation. Okay, so that's Ocarina of Time. Mario 64, I haven't played a ton of, but as far as the input lag goes, it's kind of similar. I don't know if it's the same or as bad as Ocarina of Time. Ocarina seems to be the worst right now, which is unfortunate, because it's literally on a bunch of different other consoles that almost all of them, the majority of them, probably have a better experience than what you have on the Nintendo Switch Online, which is unfortunate. It really is unfortunate that this is the case, and I really hope Nintendo addresses it and fixes it as soon as possible. But there's other issues, right? There is other issues. So Super Mario 64, technically, in some regards, is better on 3D All-Stars. But if you're someone who is used to the glitches and the speed running and the backwards long jumping, most of that is still intact. I don't know if all of it is. I can't confirm. I would assume. I know the backwards long jumping is. Some of the glitches are. Most of that's still in the version on Nintendo Switch Online, whereas on the 64 version, it's not there. So in some ways, the 64, the 3D All-Stars version plays better, but if you're used to, like I said, the glitches and the different tricks of the original, then the N64 version on Nintendo Switch Online is better in that way. Does that make sense? Beyond that, online play itself. Let's talk about online play regarding the N64. So it uses something called lockstep, and lockstep basically requires that everybody in the game is to be perfectly in sync. And if they're not, the game will pause momentarily and it'll try to resync, which ends up completely ruining the gameplay experience, right? Because it makes it this huge laggy mess. Everything starts stuttering. It's not good. Nintendo's online in and of itself is not good. I mean, even on games like Splatoon, for example, right? I just mean like even Switch games, their online is not good because none of it feeds off of Nintendo servers, which it should, right? If you're going to be charging people for an online service, part of that should include the fact that you have servers for people to play on. But instead they use peer-to-peer, which it causes issues because then you're relying on someone else's internet connection, right? I don't know why they're still doing that in 2021. I don't know why they can't just, have their own servers for everybody to run off of, especially when they're charging for the service. Now, the one good thing about Nintendo Switch Online in general, not necessarily directly tied to the expansion pack, is the cloud saves. The cloud save has been obviously a lifesaver. Cloud save is always good. Be able to back up your saves somewhere that's not just on your console. That's a very, very good thing in and of itself. But, I mean, does that justify Nintendo Switch Online as a whole? Not necessarily. But at least when Nintendo Switch Online was cheaper, when it was like $20 a year for individual instead of $50 a year, that's $30 increase, it was a little bit more worth it. But for $30 more, you're getting kind of a somewhat, for the most part, buggy experience on N64. Some decent kind of gameplay on the Sega side of things. So the Sega stuff seems to work great. Even strangely, online play, actually. I heard that, I haven't tried it myself, but other people that have played Sega Genesis games online, it works a lot better than N64 online, which is very, very strange, to say the very least. So all in all, I don't think the price, like I said before, I don't think the price is justified. Even more so with all of these issues, it's not justified day one. I mean, if you could hold off, I would hold off. Like I said in a previous video, you honestly would probably be better off just getting a Wii or Wii U for cheap and getting the games that you want on Virtual Console. It'd be a better experience than this. And I hate to say that. I'm a huge Nintendo fan. And, for the most part, I've been okay with a lot of, some of their choices in the past, right? I mean, Skyward Sword, right? There's a lot of people upset about the Skyward Sword HD pricing and compared to the differences, and to me that wasn't a big deal personally. Same thing with 3D All Stars. It wasn't a huge deal. I was fine with those games. I thought they were great. They were great experiences for me. But this is just, it's not good. It's a really rough launch. It's a really messy day one experience. For the price, I don't think it's worth it unless you're a big Sega Genesis fan. Then I mean, those work good, and I mean, like I said, some of the N64 games do work pretty good in single player. Some of them don't. The online is really bad. There's a lot of work that needs to be done and things that need to be addressed. It's not all bad. I'm not saying that at all. Like I said, some of the games do, from my experience, have worked pretty smoothly. But for big games like Ocarina of Time, for example, having these issues, and the online having that many issues, and just the Nintendo Switch Online in general, right? Aside from N64 and Sega and all that, like I said, Splatoon, you know, if you want to play Splatoon Online or Mario Kart Online or Smash Bros, we need servers, Nintendo-based servers to play off of. You can't use peer-to-peer in 2021. It's not ideal. It's not good. Nintendo needs to do a much better job at that. They need to do a much better job at their own emulation. They really, really, really do. We're all Nintendo fans for a reason, and this is not something that you would expect Nintendo to put out in this state. You would hope for a lot better, you know, and I really hope that they would, that they're going to improve it. If they included Mario Party Superstars on Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, which isn't going to happen, but if they did, I think that would definitely make up for all the other stuff. But obviously that's not going to happen. But I know I was just throwing that out there. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. How has your experience been with it? If you have purchased the subscription, if you haven't and you've been on the fence, I would wait a little bit. You know, there has been a data mine, which is, you know, talking about a bunch of other games that are going to be added. I talked about that in a different video if you want to check that out. We do know about other games that have been confirmed for N64 to be released, like Majora's Mask, Mario Golf, Pokemon Snap, F-Zero X, Kirby 64, Paper Mario, Banjo-Kazooie, etc. So those are confirmed to be coming at a later date. So we know of those, but as of right now, day one, I just don't feel like the value's there day one, personally. So I don't know. Your choice. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you agree or do you disagree with me? And I'll see you guys soon in another video. Stick around for more Nintendo content. And until then, game on. And thanks for watching.